Hi, folks. So I'm back with you for the long-awaited Oak Island report. I know this is about a year in the making. I just had to condense this as factually as possible. I can be a pretty opinionated person, but I just wanted to make this as factual as possible. And I do have the documents to back up the claims I'll be making through a FOIL request. That took me months to get, but I pursued it because I wanted answers, and I'm sure some of you do too. In 2012, I moved out here from Lyons. I had only been to Waterloo maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, but I found a house out here I liked and I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to just start over somewhere, and I feel like I've been able to accomplish that out here. And now I have a daughter. You saw her in the background, and I just think this is a nice place to raise a family. Among the really nice things we have out here is our community park, Oak Island. So this is how this whole thing came about. I did not ever plan on becoming a community activist out here. I just wanted to quietly live my life, but I think that ship has sailed at this point. I don't know. I feel like I caused quite a stir with all this, and you know what? That's okay, because I fought for a community that, I just came into and adopted me in 2012. I knew one person out here. I'm a friend from high school, and my neighbors now are like family to me, and I've met a lot of people out here now since, in the 10 years I've been here, less than 10 years actually, that are going to be lifelong friends. And, a few places like that exist. I don't think you could find that in a big city. So, the Oak Island report. Some tree trimming needed to be done on Oak Island to accommodate Indiana long-eared bats, and glamour camping popped up, or glamping as they called it. I don't really know how those two things go together, but this is New York State. I guess anything can happen. Glamping is a portmanteau of glamour and camping. Oak Island is a beloved community park. It has existed as such for over 60 years. It received a major facelift in the 90s when government funds proved too slow. Waterloo leveraged funding and spent its own funds to transform Oak Island into the park it is today, and that's from the 2019 DRI report. Oak Island is a green space where green space is at a premium within the village of Waterloo. It is a place where people of limited means and or people who do not have transportation who reside in our village can easily walk to with their families. There also exist docks for mooring boats, a free public boat launch, and abundant public fishing access, as well as pavilions, picnic tables, grills. It's just a really nice place to go and cook out and just relax. The village has leased the island from the Canal Corporation, which is now under control of the New York Power Authority. I think that transition happened somewhere around 2010. It used to be the Thruway Authority. The village maintains and polices the park. I was made aware of the proposal for Oak Island glamping from an article in the Finger Lakes Times on March 8th, 2021. I initially thought it was an early April Fool's joke. It was unfathomable to me that anyone with a functioning prefrontal cortex would want to sully the park's natural beauty with a tent campground. The article went on to say that the village board would be voting on the proposal at the village board meeting that very night, meaning this would be well past the deadline for any citizens of the village to get on the agenda to provide public comment. Not that it would have mattered, because due to COVID restrictions, the public was shut out of the village board meetings. On the evening of March 8th, the village board listened to a presentation by a Canal Corporation representative named Jackie. She was unprepared and was unable to clearly answer almost every question she fielded from the board. I believe the audio of that board meeting is actually still live. Our village mayor, Jack, remarked that he was supportive of the program, but the questions by the village board needed to be answered. To which Jackie remarked she would provide answers to the board's questions. This would suggest that at this point the proposal had been taken under advisement. However, later in the board meeting, Trustee Butlack, seconded by Trustee Boyce, made a motion to begin the program. This was despite questions still waiting on answers. All voted, I carried. Outraged, I immediately launched an online petition opposing the program. The petition gathered over 1,000 signatures. There are less than 5,000 people in the village of Waterloo, according to the 2020 census. The village residents who have property bordering Oak Island were overwhelmingly in disapproval of the glamping proposal. Our local news outlets picked up the petition and ran stories on the petition to raise public awareness. Soon after the media publicity, public forums were organized, which occurred at the community center. The forums were hosted by the Canal Corporation. The MRB group was also present. The MRB group had no real business being there. This was a community matter, not the matter of a planning and development firm and consulting firm, which the village contracts with. A MRB group employee circulated with a microphone to give the public opportunities to ask questions of the Canal Corporation leadership. However, almost immediately, a spokesperson from the Canal Corporation brought up the DRI grant. The DRI grant is a multi-million-dollar grant awarded to a municipality for the purposes of downtown revitalization. It was now clear why the MRB group was there. If Waterloo gets the grant, they get the contracts and a big payday. Turning our community park into a tent campground was sold as a selling point to potentially win the DRI grant. Yes, listen to that again. They were willing to destroy our park. It looks like a shanty town down there. I don't know if any of you have been down there. It looks horrible. And they were willing to do that for money, for a grant that they had a long shot at winning in the first place. But, somebody had convinced them that, yeah, do this and you'll win all that money. Well, you know what? I'll get to that later. But, it's just a shame that our leadership will, sell their soul like that. And that's exactly what they did. They traded away arguably the nicest thing we have in this village. What, for a chance to win some money that I don't think would honestly be wisely be spent with the leadership we have right now? That's a matter of opinion, but I don't think it would be. The spokespeople for the Canal Corporation made a valiant effort to try to put lipstick on a pig. However, they dodged relevant questions, for example, how permits were obtained to build and clear trees and brush within an area identified as a wetland check zone. I presume the excuse of tree work to accommodate the Indiana long-eared bats was the means of securing the necessary permits. This question has not been sufficiently answered. They also downgraded glamping to platform tent camping after, by their own admission, they did not actually understand what glamping was when they pitched the proposal. When asked if this proposal was to go forward, the Canal Corporation representative stated, "If Waterloo does not want this, we won't do it." The opposition within the room was both vocal and palpable. They weren't looking at us when they made that remark. They were looking right at the village mayor and the board members. They just sat there in silence, like a beaten dog. They could have spoken up. This was their chance. They didn't say anything. They just sat there. It makes you really wonder who's in charge out here. A Oak Island fact sheet was provided to those who attended the public forum. The fact sheet specifically stated that the Canal Corp had rights to village-constructed amenities on Oak Island. Remember, the village leases Oak Island from the Canal Corporation. As I mentioned before, the village spent its own money to improve the park. I don't think the Canal Corporation would have done that. Well, it sounds like we tried. We tried to get funding from elsewhere, and we just had to take this upon ourselves back in the late 90s. I didn't live out here back then, but that's what the 2019 DRI report indicated. So this would be like your landlord coming into your apartment that you lease and using your shower whenever you wanted, and just camping on your couch watching your TV. The fact sheet also went on to mention that the campsites would not infringe on the park as it was at that time. This was spatially impossible, as campsites have been cleared along the two main walking trails. After many delays, I can only speculate on the reasons for the delays. The tent campground was operational late summer of 2021. Tenter was selected as the vendor. Tenter was handed a turnkey operation paid for by public funds within a village that did not welcome it. I was proud of the advocacy of both myself and the Waterloo residents, most of which I had never met prior to any of this. We came together and fought the good fight to attempt to preserve one of our community treasures. I had too many unanswered questions and a thirst to know more, so I filed a FOIL request. It was shocking. Lewis Tree Service won the contract for the tree work on Oak Island. The estimate was $82,435. It is unclear if they went over the estimate. The email stated that they had visited the site on 2/9/21. Remember, that was a month before the Finger Lakes Times article in the board meeting. This was a month prior to the public even being aware of the proposal. At this point, you can surmise that this was put in progress long before the public was aware, and you would be correct. On 2/8/21, appointed, not to be confused with elected, village administrator Don Northrup had corresponded with the planning firm working on behalf of New York Power Authority as part of their Reimagine the Canals initiative. In the email correspondence, which I obtained via FOIL request, village administrator Don Northrup had sent the planning firm working on behalf of New York Power Authority photographs of the amenities on Oak Island. But that was not all. To sweeten the deal, he also offered up our community center. The Waterloo Community Center is not located on Oak Island. It is not located on New York Canal Corporation property. It is located on village property. Maybe somebody watching this smarter than me can comment on if that's even legal. I don't know if it is or it isn't. I understand the community center is a public place, but can we just offer it up as a sweetener for a private entity running a campground? I don't know. But I'm in disbelief that that even happened, that that conversation even took place. I will not go into all the safety concerns I personally have regarding transients using our village park and our community center, because that would be speculative, and I'm only doing this to bring the facts to the people. So how did this program go? Our friends over at Finger Lakes Daily News ran an article. Homeless people and worms, welcome to Oak Island glamping. The article cited 2 reviews. One complained of worms falling from the tree above the campsite, and the other review spoke of a homeless person sleeping on a picnic table and people revving their engines. This program was an abysmal failure that had a negative impact on the village of Waterloo. Waterloo went on to not win the DRI grant, and the failed camping program has been extended for another season. The damage to the wetlands and the park itself will only be reversed when nature reclaims the lots and when they are eventually abandoned. I know, guys, that's a lot to digest. These are all the FOIA request documents. Now let's see. Nope. So here is an actual map of the island that I got. This clearly puts the campsites along the walking trails. So I don't know how they made the claim that it wouldn't interfere with the park the way it was, and they clearly knew what they were doing. I mentioned the estimate for the tree work. It's right here. What else do I have? And here is the email where Don Northrup offers them our community center. So thanks for watching, guys. To those of you following this, I hope this information was useful to you, and this has been very important to me, and I guess this concludes my work, and I'll just continue to advocate for the park and hope that they pull those tents out of there, and don't suggest anybody camps down there. I guess that's the only way we're going to be able to starve them out. If this continues to fail, which it will, they'll eventually have to get out of there, and hopefully nature will do its thing and take the park back to its former glory. But right now we're stuck with a shantytown down there, and it's a damn shame. But thanks, guys.